Hey y'all, it's Lauren.
And it's Grace. Welcome to another episode of Let's Cut the BS. I hope y'all been tuning in lately. So last week, if you were tuning in, you got to hear my personal story with mental health, my personal experiences. And so today, as promised, we are going to be discussing Lauren's journey and her experiences in mental health and what led her to mental health, and for her to get deep and personal with you, and hopefully that helps someone else. Like I've mentioned before in previous episodes, that she has a very powerful story, and nothing is scripted. So I am learning right along with y'all in depth, what she has gone through. So, Lauren, how you feeling?
I feel good. I've done quite a bit of public speaking for my story and just different conferences and stuff, so definitely not stage fright. Um, but, God. So, growing up, life was great. I lived, the American life like you see in movies and what everybody expects their childhood to look like. And when I was 10, we had moved to Tennessee for my dad's job. He had gotten a transfer there. We loved it. It was great. So beautiful. I'd move back 100%. It's gorgeous there. But in Thanksgiving of 2012, we decided to come home for the first time since moving to have Thanksgiving with family. And on our way back, we were hit by a drunk driver. Around like the Louisiana, Arkansas area. Pretzel, lay down. Sorry. And we were hit by a drunk driver. He had his two daughters in the car with him that were the same ages as me and my brother, so 9 and 12. I was 12. He sideswept us. We hit a tree. I instantly went into a coma. They had to use the jaws of life to get me out of the car. And they told my dad that it was like, I don't remember the numbers, but let's just say like a 10-minute care flight to LSU hospital, and they said I didn't have more than like 6 to 7 minutes. So my dad got in the plane. By the grace of God, I made it. I was in a coma for 2 months, but I eventually ended up going to Cook Children's, which is, in Texas, closer to where our family was. I was in a coma for quite a long time. I don't remember the exact length. I believe it was a little longer than a month. I had to relearn how to walk, talk, eat. I've had like so many surgeries. I would have to say probably at least 16. I suffered a traumatic brain injury, so I have short-term memory loss, what I now know as retrograde amnesia. I really don't remember my life prior to waking up in the hospital, which sucks because my mom died instantly in the wreck, so I lost most of my memories with her. It's kind of the unfortunate part of retrograde amnesia and short-term memory loss. I broke my femur. I had a collapsed lung, 3 broke ribs. My right foot was degloved. I've had 2 skin grafts. I had to have surgery on my eye. I've had like 3 brain surgeries. I think that's right. And I'm a medical phenomenon. Doctors told me I'd be a vegetable. I never walk, talk, or eat. And I graduated college on the dean's list, and now I work in mental health because as somebody who suffers from anxiety and depression and PTSD and ADHD due to the trauma I had, both emotionally, physically, and mentally, I just wanted to be a sounding voice and somebody to help people and be able to say, like, I don't know exactly what your true experience and what you're going through is, but I know on a different level because I suffer with my own forms of mental health and trauma. And PTSD has been the most challenging one because it comes in waves. It's not what you see in the movies where, well, it is depending on the situation. For war vets, fans can be triggering, etc. But for me, it's things like thunderstorms. And so it was storming when the wreck happened. So if it storms, like my PTSD will take me back. So I'll shake, my heart rate goes through the roof, like 147 beats per minute through the roof. And I don't remember anything from the wreck or my life before. So it's kind of surreal for me to be having these reactions but not knowing why. And so that's what drew me into mental health, because I just want to help people, because I know how challenging it is, how difficult it is, and how overwhelming and suffocating it can feel, especially on a bad day. But that's a little bit about what I went through. It's definitely not easy. Every day still has challenges. I do have some long-lasting injuries that still affect me. The one majority is my brain injury. But I've overcome a lot, and I continue to overcome a lot, and I work and strive every day to continue to be better, because you can never heal too much. And so that's a little bit about my story. And if y'all have any questions, again, let us know. Or if you're watching this and you're like, oh wait, I forgot, I wanted to ask Grace this, feel free to comment. I'm sure Grace would feel comfortable, if y'all are polite, to answer any questions. But we just want to be real with y'all and let y'all know that we're both coming from a place of experience and not just stuff that we talked and read in a textbook.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. So my first question for you, Lauren, is what is the difference between, because this is my first time hearing about retrograde amnesia. What's the difference between just having amnesia and retrograde amnesia?
So I don't claim to be an expert on this, but from what I understand, amnesia is commonly kind of what people think of when they think of people who are old and get dementia and XYZ. Retrograde, if I took Latin in high school, that's the only really reason I know this, but retro means like back or again. So it basically means like lack of memory, lack of knowledge, back. So I don't remember my life back then.
Okay. Okay, I get it. All right.
I can't explain regular amnesia because I don't know that, and
Right.
I don't want to speak falsely.
Yeah. Okay. And then I know that, you mentioned this is what led you to wanting to work in the mental health field, because you want to help other people, and just the fact that you're a miracle and you survived this tragic situation. And it's unfortunate what happened with your mother, and my heart goes out to you. And we've already talked about that before, as far as her losing her mother and, not having a lot of those memories. But does your brain injury or anything affect your ability to have like automatic empathy for others, especially working with clients? We have empathy.
Right.
We're empaths. And so is there a delay in it?
So I'm glad you asked, because I do have this thing. It's called lack effect. And so I essentially have like a delay. I will receive information, and the expressions on my face either are not there or they're delayed. So my reactions and responses to things are delayed, and sometimes I actually have to put in effort to make my face expressions represent happiness, sadness, joy, anger, which is great because people really can never tell when I'm angry. But it's kind of hard where something could be happy and great, and family or friends would be like, why don't you look happy? And I'm like, I am, but you can't tell from my face. So that's been a kind of challenge, especially working with clients. I have to put a lot of like emphasis and effort into, okay, I need to be cognizant of the facial expressions I am portraying.
Okay. So let me see how I'm trying to ask this. Remember, this is not scripted, so I'm coming up with the questions as we go along, because, this is very interesting. I've never met anyone with a brain injury before. And I feel like Lauren is a person who, had she not told me that she had a brain injury, I would have never been able to tell. But I have noticed, like her lack of expression when something's like because I'm goofy. So her lack of expression when something's very, very funny, and it'll take her a little bit longer to laugh, or she doesn't even know sometimes when she's funny. She'll say something and I'll be laughing and other people will be laughing, and she'll be there straight faced. And so it makes sense to me now. So how have the people in your life, like family and close friends, learned how to like support you best with your brain injury in any aspect or all aspects?
I think the main thing that, and I'm speaking from my perspective, not their perspective, but I think from the insider and from what like the feedback I've heard, I would say the main kind of shift would just be applying a little more patience, because it does take me just a little bit longer to kind of do things or to pick up on things, and for other times it's not. I'm like witty and there, and I got it, and no second explanation needed. But having a little bit more patience, and then also like putting more detail and explaining things maybe a little more thoroughly, because I do struggle with attention to detail. I would say it's one of my biggest deficits. So including more detail and putting more emphasis on things that maybe didn't have to do before is something I would say family and friends maybe do a little more now.
Okay. And sorry, your dog always throws me off. Where do you want to go? Like, I understand, you work in this field now, you're doing something that you love. I mean, we all have these life goals, what we want to do at the end of the road. No, none of these career jobs expect us to want to be there forever unless we express we want to be here forever and climb the ladder here.
Right.
So, like, ultimately, what is your goal? Like, do you have a plan to work with others who have brain injuries? And if so, like, on what level? Like, what could you offer them in a career? And if there's a specific career, that you can mention, like, what do you want to do?
So I actually got to do that right out of college. I was working as an education therapist at CNS. CNS is Center for Neuroskills, working with traumatic brain injury, stroke, aphasia patients of all different ages. And so it was really cool for me to come in as somebody who has a traumatic brain injury and getting to relate to these patients on a deeper level. Sorry, feet, my dog in the bottom corner. But that was it was really empowering, and it was really just like moving to hear these different stories, but be able to give these patients a second sense of hope of, wow, if Lauren could do it, maybe there's hope. And so that was probably, okay, really? That was probably like, obviously attention seeker. That was probably my, dream job, and it ended up not working out because I was right out of college. I still had a lot to learn, but ultimately I would love to work with TBI and stroke patients and just to relate on that level.
Awesome. I think that's great, and I think it's nothing better than someone who has been through that experience, because, I mean, the way you just shared with everyone here and with me in more detail, just how traumatic that wreck was. Not a lot of people make it out of situations like that, and being in the coma for as long as you did, I'm sure there were some people that felt like you weren't going to make it, right?
I was told or my parents, I guess, were told I wasn't.
Yeah. So I think it's a miracle, and I think it's amazing that you are still here. And what would you say to someone else out there who has a brain injury and feels like they can't go so far in life in as far as career, like people who use their brain injury as a reason to not push harder, if that makes sense?
I would say keep pushing yourself. My dad pushed me every single day when I was in the hospital, when I got out of the hospital, even to this day, because your brain doesn't stop developing until, for women, I think it's year 26, and for men, I think it's 28. Don't quote me on that, I don't remember. But so to continue to push yourself and put in that effort and strive for better, because you can always change those neural pathways in your brains, develop the new behaviors, and just keep striving for more, because you will always be growing and you can always reach that level. Because I can tell you, I did not think I'd be where I am. There's no way. When I was sitting in that hospital bed, I didn't think I'd be graduating on the dean's list or graduating college at all, and able to work and maintain these memories and memory strategies. And it's an effort every single day, But use your tools, use your resources. My dad is back here being like, I told you. But yeah, use the tools, the resources, rely on family and friends, and listen to your body, because the brain needs rest too. So
Yeah.
but keep trying.
So because you have a brain injury, and of course I'm learning about this, like I've never met anyone who has a brain injury in my life. When I used to think of, before I met you, a brain injury, I'm thinking of someone that has no idea what's going on around them, right? And it was Lauren who kind of educated me, because she lives with it, that it's not always that severe.
Yeah.
And so I want to know, what are your biggest struggles with having a brain injury, whether it's something that you notice or that other people who care about you notice and share with you? And do you also feel like you have to work a little bit harder than others to stay organized, to, remember stuff, to complete tasks, etc.?
Absolutely. My biggest barrier, I would say, is memory. Short-term memory, forgetting things. Like, if I don't write it down, it's not going to happen. And so reminders are my best friend. And another thing I would say is like sense of time, sense of, spatial awareness. I struggle with, my depth perception, and that's a visual thing, but it was, caused with a brain injury. Concept of time, I tend to procrastinate, and then I tend to be early. I actually am an extremely early person, and I think that is due to my brain injury. If I'm not 20 minutes early, I'm late. But
Just tell them the truth.
memory I would say, is my biggest deficit, and it's frustrating when you will do something the day before and then you can't remember. And so it feels like very devastating when you can't remember something, and then it's embarrassing, but you learn to use tools, strategies, skills, but repetition is huge.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think her story is absolutely amazing, and that's why I told y'all I wanted to tell my story first and get it out of the way, because her story is just so, I don't even know the words to say, but it just shows an incredible amount of strength and perseverance, and, confidence and courage, and just being able to, push through life and still do the things that other people do, despite the fact that she has this brain injury. And I know that you also deal with anxiety a little bit as well, correct?
Oh, yes. Anxiety, depression, PTSD, ADHD.
Yeah.
And insomnia. Forgot that one.
Me too. We're insomnia queens. Yay.
And anxiety queens.
It's not fun. So anyway, thank you all for tuning into this episode. And again, we are sharing things about ourselves, because as we move forward and doing this podcast, we want you to know that we're going to be very diverse, but we believe that you should get to know who we are, and where this information is coming from, understand our personalities. We're not always going to just be giving you like this background about us. We have other fun things to talk about, but we believe in taking it slow. There's no rush. Taking it slow for y'all to get to know who we are as people, and we're going to have fun with it. So we hope that you have fun, being a part of it. Please stay tuned for our next episode. Our next episode is either going to bother you, you might relate, or you may know someone, and we might be able to help you through that. We're going to talk about a very specific personality disorder that the name of it gets thrown around randomly, playfully, but it really is a personality disorder. It is in the DSM-5. Mm-hmm. Are we at DSM just 5, right?
Yep.
Yeah. The DSM-5, which is the psychiatric Bible. So I don't expect you to know what that is. We'll talk to you about it in the next episode. So we're going to go ahead and end this one. I hope y'all love Lauren's story. I surely did. And always remember, let's cut the BS. Bye.